I'll tell somebody like, look, you want to be careful about putting off, family life or not prioritizing family life for too long, because when the day comes that you do have kids, if that causes you to not be able to go after those things that you thought you wanted to go after, you want to be careful because you might start resenting your own children.
Yeah. Black people, especially a black man, but black people in general, when you're not in a glorified position, your word in the community means, pardon my French, jack shit.
Right.
Because the problem is that me as a person, I consider myself decently successful. I feel like I've achieved some things in life.
Definitely.
I'm not perfect, but I feel like I've gotten some places, I've done some things, made some mistakes. But at the end of the day, the thing about it is that if we go on a some kind of platform, a basketball player who just made it to the NBA at 21 years old, who ain't never lived life, who just got out of high school, is going to be listened to on a stage more than me at 34.
Yeah. Look, I think as black folks, we do too much complaining about why things are the way they are, rather than just accepting what is and how do you move forward.
And how do you navigate.
Exactly. And honestly, this is another conversation that I wanted to bring to y'all if we have time. Mm-hmm. I want to know if y'all think that we've been bamboozled politically, man.
Oh.
Because as I've
personally, bro, I think every single American has been bamboozled politically.
But the thing is that politics in other communities have actually benefited them, and you can see it.
Yeah,
and that's what I think you were about to touch on. I'm assuming.
And so my thing is back to the idea of conservatism. Look, conservatism is not. It's not this like. There's no black struggle. There's no slavery. It has never existed.
Pardon my French, but you niggers get back to your place.
Right. But the racist ones confuse the two. Yeah. They think they go hand in hand.
Not saying that don't exist, because it's out there. We know it's out there.
What it really boils down to is less government, family, country,
right?
Principles. Yep. It's very basic values, right? Definitely. And I think the problem that we're having politically is people are confusing progressiveness with like restarting, right? Mm-hmm. So what I mean by that is let me clear it up. Mm-hmm. In order to progress as a society, we have to kill everything.
Yeah, which is not true,
right? So instead of taking the bits and pieces from generations that did it right. It's okay. This part of that generation was completely messed up. We have to dismantle the whole thing.
Yep.
So, because there was aspects of domestic abuse, right?
Yes.
In certain families. Oh, the family structure is bad.
Yes.
Let's get rid of the fathers. Yes. Single mothers, you're better at it than us.
All men are going to beat on their wives.
Exactly. And I'm not saying that to dismiss the effects of people who actually went through that. But what I'm saying is that we have got to act like we have some nuance here. Because we are much smarter as individuals to just be chalking stuff up to it's either this or it's that.
Yes.
Facts.
There's this thing that I think, and it's funny because we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but it's funny that you said it just now, is that there's this thing called a gray area that no longer exists in the black community.
Right.
There is no gray area in like damn near any aspect of the black community anymore. It is either one thing or it's the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And you see, the sad part about it is when you talk about family structures, right? Let's use a perfect example. A perfect example, in my opinion, when you're talking about family structures of somebody who we all know and some people love, hate, and everything in between, is Barack Obama. Okay, news flash to all black people out there listening. You can sit here and say, we know that politically, Barack Obama identifies as a Democrat. Democrats are viewed as liberal, right?
Damn Democrat.
Barack Obama, from an optics perspective, is about the most conservative black man that we see on our screen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The man is married. He's been married to the same woman since he was in his early 20s. He's had kids. They grew together. They respect one another. They love one another. And guess what? Barack Obama's not flashy.
Yeah, he's modest in his living. He doesn't.
He's not wearing, big
$100,000 chains
or wearing Gucci shoes and all this other bullshit that we want to subscribe to because we want to be like the next rapper, actor, ball player, whatever the case may be. And let me ask y'all, since everybody wants to be an actor, rapper, ball player, and 90% of black women out here want to be with a person that emulates that. How many of those people have family structures? How many of those men are being good to their women and not stepping out on them and not cheating on them or whatever the case may be? And how many of those women are not on camera, no disrespect, being loud and ghetto and talking about how, my man ain't shit and blah 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 and doing that Cardi B shit, right? No, let's call it what it is. No, I'm just saying, let's call it what it is. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is. When did Black America become? When did ghetto America, the small segment of ghetto America, take over all of Black America? Mm-hmm. If you go back many years, you don't even have to go back many years, right? We can go back to the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
We can go back to the 70s, right? Mm-hmm. Or 60s, when black people were fighting for rights for our country, when you look at any of those protests that you see on TV, these men, women, kids that were being hosed down and everything else and all that crazy stuff that we saw back in the day when it was some real racism going on.
Yeah. Overt.
Yeah. So what were they wearing, y'all? Can y'all remember them? Y'all seen the videos, right?
Suits,
what were they wearing? Shirts,
long dresses.
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah. I didn't see their pants hanging halfway down below their ass. Did y'all?
No,
because I know I didn't.
I know. I know MLK was decently paid by the end of his life.
I didn't see flashy gold chains or name brands or anybody yelling and shouting just to do it. There was thought. There was an intellectual side.
I'll tell you why.
Everything that was going on.
I'll tell you why,
right?
though. The reason why that was the way it was. Mm-hmm. Do you know what dominated the black community at that particular time?
What was that?
It was the church.
Yeah, definitely.
That is a great point.
Where the F
that is a great point.
The church exists in 2022.
Yeah, but look,
as a part of the community,
mm-hmm.
and
True,
what drives
true.
it.
And now look, I don't have a problem with the church, but we also have to understand where certain things like Christianity came from.
Yeah.
And so that
and
I think that's
validated
exactly. So that's the thing that I think as time
has
progressed.
That's all religion, though. I mean, all religion can be skewed.
Yeah,
in a negative light.
yeah. But the thing is even for somebody like myself, I don't even I have I will always say I have Christian values. Mm-hmm. But I do not like to say that I have any form of religion because I don't like organized religion. Mm-hmm. I like to just believe there's a higher power, God, Jesus died for us on the cross, blah blah blah. Mm-hmm.
But that is Christianity.
Right. So I said I have Christian values.
Well, he's saying it's Christian values,
but I don't.
I'm just teasing.
Right.
I mean, it is Christianity. In a sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that I don't agree with all the stuff that comes with Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
I don't think you have to in order to
right.
identify.
But then when you look at when you learn why the Bible was introduced to black people and stuff like that, it's like you almost feel bamboozled all over again. You know what I'm saying?
Well, to clarify that, it's not that wasn't the origin of the introduction of black people. It was used for slavery. So what I'm saying is there's been different interpretations of how it's been used, right? Mm. When it was written, it wasn't made specifically for the intent of enslaving black people.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just that white slave masters took advantage of the fact that, unfortunately, we didn't have any education, we didn't have any rights, we didn't have anything. So they used it to cultivate the narrative that they wanted to, and therefore that's why people have such a negative view of Christianity. Not because it's inherently bad, but because it was used historically to demonize black people.
Hey man, thanks for talking me off the ledge, dog. No, just like
I'm just providing.
but that's a good point.
For the sake of where we're at, you know, with relation to the topic, I don't think that you have to have Christianity or the church to have values. Because the thing is that when my parents taught me, hey, this is what you wear to go with an interview, I wasn't taught that in church. When my mom said, hey, Aaron, you want to be taken seriously when you walk into this place, that place, or that place. Right. This is how you dress. This is how you show yourself. Christianity wasn't, and I'm not saying that it maybe wasn't an influence on her, but Christianity wasn't what drove my mom or my dad. I watched my dad wear a suit every day. You know what I mean? That wasn't what drove it.
This is true.
So the thing is that when we're talking about this, and we're talking about how certain influences have swapped the values, I think at some point, I know we all love rap, we all love hip hop. At some point, we're going to have to look at black folks' glorification of hip hop and hood mentality to really understand why the black community as a whole, like 80 to 85%, looks like dog shit today.
I agree. That's why I'm an old head and I listen to J. Cole and Nas and Kendrick all the time. I don't know none of these new rappers.
I really don't either.
I made a joke with my girlfriend. I was like, yo, I feel like I'm officially getting old because I don't know none of these new artists.
I don't either.
Facts. I can give you names, but I can't name a single song. The only one who I can actually name a song by is Lil Baby. Like Lil Baby.
He's the only new artist.
Lil Baby. That's a talented dude. He is. He can spit.
Yeah. And he talks about stuff. I mean.
Yeah.
Not all the time.
Yeah.
But you know,
I might be able to throw you. Yeah. I could. You know, 21 Savage. I can give you that. Yeah. But why can I give you that? Because J. Cole hopped on the song with him. That to be honest with you.
Yep.
But yeah. No. A lot of these new rappers. I don't know, man.
Let me ask you though. How do we identify where this started, right? And how do we get across to us as a people? Like we were talking about just conservative values, and you know, from us as a people, how do we relate this to people? And more importantly, how do you convey to people, or especially to the next generation, that hey, what we're doing, like y'all may see everything being glorified in music and on social media, but this shit don't work.
I think
like what do we do?
Look, man,
to get people to understand. And here's one thing that I do want to point out before y'all jump in is, you know, I think back to when I was growing up, and I learned a lot from my grandmother. God rest in peace, Mercedes Hornsby. Learned a lot from my grandmother. And my grandmother died a millionaire quite a few times over. But the interesting thing is that my grandmother didn't buy her first new car, like brand new car. I'll never forget when she bought her E-Class. I was like 13. She bought a Mercedes E-Class. Badass E-Class. Baddest E-Class I had ever seen in my life up to that point, right? She was almost 60 years old. A millionaire quite a few times over already. And you know, I remember when I got my job. And I remember when I got my job, and I first started making a little money. And my grandmother, Grabby is what I called her. Grabby said, I told her, she said, well, so what are you going to do? I was like, well, you know, I was thinking about getting a new car. She looked at me like I was crazy. I said, well, I'm having problems with my old car. She said, well, go get you a used car. Yeah. And don't spend more than this amount of money. Who you trying to impress? Save your money so that you can buy some property.
And that's a conservative value.
That is a very conservative value.
Yep.
Right? So what I'm saying is that why is it that what rappers say is more important than the basic people who are around us in our community who can give us knowledge on how to advance. There was one point in time when I was a kid, people our age didn't drive brand new Benzes and Beamers and everything. That was for retired folks. When I saw a brand new Benz on the street or a brand new Beamer or a Maserati or a Bentley, every time I looked, I remember being like 8, 19 years old, and be like, I bet you if I look in it, it's an old man or old woman. Sure enough, every single time. But now today, that's not what you see, because we have been taught that if you're not driving what the rappers are driving in music videos, if you're not driving the car that the NBA players are driving, if you're not partying in this hotel or at that hotel, spending, thousands of dollars just to stay here, there, or whatever, you're not successful. This isn't excellence.
Now I'm gonna tell you what I think it all stems from. I think that this stems from what we have been talking about Jim Crow days and things like that, and slavery and all of that, is that when black people got the opportunity to have nice things, that's all they ever wanted. And it starts where it starts. But like I said, this is an upbringing thing. You only know, well, up to a certain extent. I'm not going to say you only know in life what you're taught by somebody else, because I mean, shoot, my mother, I feel like I can teach her a lot at this point, and I do. But like overall, it's in terms of our upbringing, if you're not exposed to different ways of thinking, you really do not. You don't excel. You don't get to like I said. I just said I feel like I can teach my mother a lot of things. That didn't happen by me being up under her. That happened by me branching out. That happened by me traveling to another state to go to school. That happened by me hanging around other people, like my cousins, friends, things like that, and developing a mind of my own to where I can be like, you know what, Mom? No, I disagree. You know what I'm saying? Like things like that.
Let me ask you though, haven't you in your adult age learn things that weren't presented to you as a child?
Yes,
I know I have.
Definitely.
So why are we as a people so adverse to learning something from a person who is successful, maybe not on this pedestal and on camera and everything else? Why can't we learn something from an above average to higher middle class person who can teach us something?
I mean, I agree. I agree. I think that black folks are just addicted to attention. I like this idea of stardom or a higher life.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that. But I'm just saying, like, not only are we addicted to it, we can't even wrap our head around listening to somebody unless they're that.
Right.
Like why?
We're looking at things as lame and boring and all that stuff. That's all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When somebody sits here and lives a middle class lifestyle, who both parents worked, and they can say, "Oh, I lived average." No, you didn't.
Yeah, it's a multifaceted conversation. I think we need to. The people who do have the above average paying jobs, the average, corporate businessman or the doctor or the lawyer, I think there does need. There has to be more of an effort to shine a light on those people. And then hopefully, there can just be sort of a community rally towards getting back to the values.
Right. And I think, as we prepare to close this out, I want to use my late grandfather as an example of how you can want a lot of things in life. However, you might not find that there's anything better than security. And while I use my grandfather as an example, rest in peace, Grandpa, but this man was, first of all, he worked really hard. He went when he went to University of Miami, not the Hurricanes. I forget where
Miami,
this is.
Ohio?
Yeah, there you go, Miami, Ohio.
Yeah.
He didn't have much of anything. Both his parents were already passed away. He went there pretty much with nothing.
Yeah.
And he was a star. Before this, he was a star basketball player at Howard. He was very much so involved on the campus. And because of that, he was a popular dude who, from what I've heard, his attention was not where it needed to be all the time. You know what I'm saying? So he made the decision at the young age of a college student to relocate himself to somewhere where he could focus better. Didn't really have anything, didn't know the coach over there or whatever, but he went over there, he played, all this and that. Fast forward, he also met my grandmother there, but my grandfather's had many opportunities, all created by himself. He was a talented basketball player. My grandfather was offered to play for the Harlem Globetrotters. He turned that down. My grandfather also, he studied zoology in college. So that tells me that where he ended up in life, he had no intent of being there when he was in college.
Very common.
Right. And that's just life, and I don't think people understand that. I think even I'm trying to put that together myself. Like, a piece of why I'm writing today is because I feel like if I'm not writing, I wasted my time going to college. You know what I'm saying? So, outside of basketball, of course. But my grandfather studied zoology, did nothing with that. He, in the long run, ended up joining the Air Force and worked his way up to being a brigadier general who is now recognized in the African American Museum or History Museum in Washington, D.C. Like, this man is a big deal, and it started from really what seems like not even having an idea of what you really wanted to do, but making a decision to do something that you knew would set yourself and your family up for a better life long term. Now, because of his decision, I'll have some type of inheritance. You know what I'm saying? Now, I will say, that comes from, my father passing away young, but so I'm the next of kin. But still, that man has something to leave behind for his family. So when I look at that, I admire it because it's like, who knows? I don't know if I'm too sure what my grandfather's dreams were, but I can guarantee you that coming up, his dream wasn't to be a brigadier general. It just kind of happened. And because of that, his family is fine. So those are things to think about when we think about this dream chasing or what's lame and what's not and all that stuff. Is like, man, at the end of the day, we just need to be smarter and less prideful in our pursuit of making it. That's it.
That's real black excellence right there.
Exactly.
That is the epitome of black excellence.
That's it.
Not what you're seeing on social media, not people popping bottles, not people dressing a certain way, driving a certain car. That is what black excellence is, and that is what we should be pushing in our community, is people that work hard, work their way up, make it, provide for themselves and provide for their family and leave something for their families without leaving debt and issues. And not only, the one thing that I do want to say before we wrap it up is, not only did your grandfather leave you something monetarily, but what he did was he left a value system.
Exactly. I was just about to say he left values.
Value system trickles down over generations and generations. So the question we should be asking all of us out here is, at what point, maybe you didn't have that value system. Okay, fine. Yeah, that sucks. But who's gonna lay the foundation in your family?
Right.
We were lucky enough to have it laid in our family. Why don't you be that person who starts it? No, you don't know it all, but you can learn. There's people around you that you can learn from. At what point do you go, you know what? I'm really going to be the one who changes things. And not by saying I'm going to change things because I got to have this grandiose lifestyle and I'm going to leave my kids millions and millions upon millions of dollars. Like,
it's just about figuring out that the way that we've been taught isn't necessarily the way.
Yes.
It's really that simple. Once you make the decision that this isn't the way, this isn't what's working, now you've given yourself the foundation or the blueprint to say, I won't even say the blueprint, but the foundation to say, okay, how do we start now? What's something that will work?
Yep.
What's something that's good for not only me? It's a mindset and it's understanding, but you know, I hear you. I do feel that, you know, we're only as knowledgeable as what, you know, we've been exposed to. And so therefore I'm not going to wake up any given morning and be like, you know what, everything that's going on in my life is wrong. If I'm accustomed to it, you just don't know there's any other way sometimes. So you've got to kind of, if you're not living the life that you want to live, you kind of got to, you know, do something different. I think that's
resistant to
right,
differences.
Right.
That's the problem.
Right. So I think that's the key here. But on that note, if you're still watching, you're still listening, we appreciate it. We would love to hear feedback. Leave some in the comments. Let us know what you think on any given topic that we've covered. And you'll be hearing much more from us. We'll be back next week with another one. Peace. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this podcast, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you've got something you want to get off your chest, go ahead and leave that in the comments.